Welcome to Parkeneer, where we design our own theme park attractions just for fun. In this episode, we're traveling to the Magic Kingdom at Disney World and finding out what a Wreck-It Ralph ride might look like there. Be sure to subscribe to us to receive future theme park concepts. It's not often a sequel to a film gets a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than the original, but Ralph Breaks the Internet managed to do it. The sequel also went along and earned a cool $494 million at the box office. With two beloved movies and a slew of box office revenue earned, why doesn't Ralph and Vanellope have their own ride? We sometimes like to give life to old rides that have become less popular. Maybe they haven't had any major refurbishment in a while or contain old intellectual property. In our last video, we talked about reskinning the Grand Fiesta Tour. You can find a link of that above. We looked at the various rides at Disney parks around the world and thought what would be a good ride to reskin for this concept art. We first had to break down what type of ride this would be. Would it be a roller coaster, dark ride, movie show, or something else like a dance party? There are so many options of ride types to choose from, so we broke down the major theme of Wreck-It Ralph and Ralph Breaks the Internet. Our conclusion was that the major theme of both movies was racing. Whether you're racing in Sugar Rush or in Slaughter Race, racing is a huge part of both movies. Now, we have a perfect ride type chosen in our head, and the best part is that there's an old ride at the Magic Kingdom that meets all of our criteria to be reskinned. Is the ride old? Does it need a makeover to remain relevant? How crowded does it get? Well, the Tomorrowland Speedway at the Magic Kingdom hits all of these points. It's an opening day attraction at the park, so it's very old. The last large makeover to the ride was back in 1999 when Disney partnered with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Company to change the theme of the track. They added features such as the scoring pylon, gasoline alley, and other additions, all to make it similar to the famous Speedway. Disney Dan actually has a great video that we'll link in the description that goes over all the changes the Tomorrowland Speedway has undergone over the years. The ride does sometimes get crowded, but for the most part, it is one of the less popular attractions in the area. It definitely needs an update. With all the construction going on in Tomorrowland for the new Tron coaster, we thought what if they just did a little more and added a Wreck-It Ralph ride there. So we're going to be changing the Tomorrowland Speedway into a Wreck-It Ralph ride. And by keeping the same layout, it won't be a huge overhaul. We'll keep it modern by making the ride based on the second movie where they break the internet. The first thing that we are changing is the queue. Guests will enter the Knowsmore search engine building. The original queue area as well as the ride vehicle loading area will be covered in this building. Inside, guests will be able to interact with Knowsmore as he attempts to autofill your search term.
Look at that little egg guy. He's got on one of those hats that smart people wear. I bet he could help us.
This will be achieved through the use of television screens throughout the building as well as a list of search engine terms you can ask him about through voice activation.
Knowsmore help you find today? Umbrella, umbrage, umami?
This would also make a great My Disney Experience game that guests can play while they wait. It'd be some sort of word game where you have to guess what the word or phrase is based on clues. The faster you guess correctly, the more points you get. After going through the queue, guests will then board their car. These would be updated from the current designs to a more futuristic looking vehicle. Disney always likes bringing sponsors on board to help front the cost of building an attraction, and this ride would be no exception to this. The ride vehicles could be decked out with various logos, color schemes, or interesting gadgets based on sponsors' needs. Afterwards, guests will tour the internet. You'll see towering buildings on your right. These would include various real websites that could include Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc. These would be amazing, colorful buildings that would take up the outer curved portion of the current ride. At night, these would be beautifully lit and that would help bring more life into Tomorrowland. On the left will feature a large curved screen that wraps around the inside portion of the track. Another view of the internet landscape will be projected onto this screen. However, there would also be various flying cars going either way on this screen. In various spots, you might be able to interact with Ralph and Vanellope. Ralph might be hanging off a car for dear life or squished inside a tiny car. Vanellope might narrowly avoid hitting guests as she swerves her car away at the last second. The curved screen might even display some of the princesses seen in the movie during the pajama party doing various funny skits. Merida from Brave might be on top of a car shooting arrows at floating targets. Or Mulan might be doing kung fu practice on top of a building. The screen portion could even incorporate the magic bands and have various buildings named after guests as they drive by. This would be similar to It's a Small World or Haunted Mansion, where guests' magic bands are scanned and worked into the story of the ride. Up next is Slaughter Race, and you wanna play it.
Slaughter Race. He's wicked dangerous.
Slaughter Race is an MMORPG game featured in the version of the internet that Ralph visits. Ralph's original goal in the movie was to steal a super rare car from a boss named Shank. Guests will enter this game and be greeted by Shank next to her shiny red car. There would be towering and decrepit warehouses and industrial buildings surrounding you. You'll pass by a couple of fun scenes in this section, one of which might include a shark. Next up, guests will see a tunnel filled with cars that they seemingly have to go through just like in the movie. But what's that? There seems to be a clearing in the buildings. The track becomes filled with dirt and there's a sign that says, "This way for the secret bonus track." It appears that Ralph has tried to add his own secret track to Slaughter Race. You continue on through this forest and hear Ralph saying, "You're going to love this next part." As you go over the hill, you're greeted with candy mountains and lollipop trees. You've been magically transported inside of Sugar Rush. Guests will continue on through this colorful and sweet land, all the while racing the other lanes of vehicles around them. Candy corn, chocolate, gumdrops, and more will be in this section. There will be various smell cannons around this portion of the track, each one giving guests a smell of the sugary land and all the sweets it contains. This would be similar to Heimlich's Choo Choo Train when it was operating at Disneyland's California Adventure, where the smell of freshly baked cookies was directed onto guests. As in all video games, you're sometimes greeted with a message that says, "Are you really sure you want to exit?" Even though you won't want to exit this Sugar Rush game, you'll continue on with your journey. And now you're back in the internet and on the last part of the ride. The Knowsmore building is coming up again. You've officially visited the internet. Some of the benefits of this ride being made would be the ability for a new experience every time. The curved screen would be different every time and could be updated easily every few months with various additions. A new internet company popped up? No problem, let's add them to the screen. If a new movie comes out, then a small promo could be added to the screen. Maybe a giant movie theater can be seen in the background with a Wreck-It Ralph 3 logo on it. So that's our Wreck-It Ralph ride. What did you think of it? Leave a comment below to tell us what you would change. Want to help support the making of future concept art like this? Support us on Patreon and vote on what our next project should be.